Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome from wherever you're joining us. My name's Katrina, and I'm joined today by two lovely ladies who are going to talk through their experience of literacy in your region. I was a librarian in school for a number of years. For the past 5 years, I've been working with schools in your region, helping them get the most out of their literacy products. I'm going to hand you over to Shireen. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Shireen, and I'm coming from Greenfield International School. I am currently assistant head of primary as well as the English lead at GIS, and we are the proud winners of Reading Without Limits Award with Renaissance.
And Susanna, can we hear from you?
Hi everyone, I'm Susanna. I'm the head of secondary English at Horizon International School here in Dubai, and we are also the proud winners of the most quizzes completed last year for our Accelerated Reader.
Amazing, thank you both. So just to follow on with that, here are some pictures from that said event. So a phenomenal 14,000 books read in Shireen's school and 141 million words read in Susanna's school. Pretty amazing. So well done. So we're going to talk a little bit about your journey of how you got there. So you both received awards at the Future of the Connected Learning Conference 2025 held in Dubai for your reading success. Can you tell us about your journey to this milestone? And Susanna, can we start with you?
I'm so sorry, I've just been kicked out of my room. I'm just finding another space. If you can
Okay.
just give me one moment. Thank
No
you.
worries, I can take over, no worries.
Okay, if we go to Shireen.
Yes. Yeah, so basically our journey started with a clear vision, which is how to use STAR assessment as well as myON and AR just to enhance the reading culture in our school and to enhance the profile of reading. And first of all, I really needed to understand how to use STAR assessment. And once I got it, I really found that it's an amazing data-driven tool to inform our instruction, our reading instruction. So it's become data-driven in addition to personalized reading for the students through ZPDs. It allowed us to ensure consistency in teaching reading across all the classroom. And it really built students' interest in reading because they have access to more than probably 7,000 online books. And the most important thing is that not only reading, because we all know that kids can read with their eyes, but not read with their brains. And the fact that we have the quizzes as well and ensure that the students can read on myON or can even read any physical library book and then can do the AR quiz and test their comprehension was really important in ensuring students understand what they're reading and they're reading with their brains. So that's our journey. The complete solution of Renaissance has really empowered that because we've got data-driven and data-informed teaching. We're monitoring the growth of the students. Students are interested in reading. Families are involved as well. So it was a complete kind of literacy ecosystem that we're following that enabled that success to happen or to take place.
Perfect. Susanna, are you able to answer at this point or should we carry on? Perfect. So
Yes,
what about your reading journey to your massive success?
So I think the most important thing to get across today is that creating a successful reading culture is definitely not something that can happen really quickly or overnight. It's a long-term shift that takes time, but what we were able to do through the use of Renaissance was to embed reading or a positive reading culture as part of our curriculum and as part of our sort of extracurricular activities as well. But it allows us to hold students accountable and sort of measure and track progress, which with reading really is the most important element of it. For us anyway. So over a course of a few years, we've been able to embed that and use Accelerated Reader not only to track academically, but also just hold them accountable for their reading targets that we set weekly.
Perfect. And I was going to say, it's not necessarily about accountability, it's sharing that success as well, quite a lot of the time, isn't it? So, Susanna, if you don't mind, we're going to talk about assessing your students' literacy levels. How frequently, how does that happen in your school?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself there. So we complete the STAR reading test formally 3 times a year. So we do it as soon as we get back in September, then we do it in December, and then we do it again in March. And so that is kind of a formal assessment of literacy, but that ongoing informal assessment, I guess, of literacy is just ongoing and embedded in everything that we do. But the STAR readers help us with our literacy. We find the reading ages that we get are very accurate, more accurate sometimes than other reading tests that we've completed. And we can use that to, even though it is just a reading age, that does generally correlate with the actual literacy levels, the ability to spell, the ability to correctly use grammar. So those STAR readers kind of formally inform us, and it's so easy to understand the data that we get from it that can be shared widely amongst the whole school. And with all of our teachers, it's actually an expectation as part of our lesson planning that those reading ages are put onto lesson plans and seating plans. So it's something that's transferable within subjects as well.
Perfect. And on that, do you notice a trend in growth at all, particularly if you've got readers that English might not be their first language? Do you notice trends of growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got an example of a student who joined us from Russia. We are a very international setting, so English as a learning language is obviously quite a common issue that we face, but we've had quite a lot of students in more recent years that have come to us with a lower level of English than we're used to. So we had a student that joined us from Russia in year 8, and she started off with a reading age of around 8 years old. It was just below 8 years old. The reason that Renaissance was so helpful is because, as you touched on earlier, it helped us really celebrate small successes in an environment that was feeling really alien and kind of feeling as though she was getting lots of setbacks with her language. We were able to direct her towards certain texts and say, do this quiz, or and celebrate those small successes with her and say, right, okay, you've done your 20 minutes reading a day. That's positively helping you towards your improving your reading age. And she, as a result, became very committed to reading. And her reading age now, 2 years later, she's now in year 10, and her reading age is currently at 13 years and 3 months. So that's just one success story in terms of how we've managed to just use small successes to help make really significant progress over time.
Oh, perfect. And that's really encouraging for the student as well. Shireen, what's your assessment look like in school? Is that similar?
Yeah, I think very similar to what Susanna said. We do assess as a baseline when we come in September, but we do follow the KHDA, guidelines in terms of assessment, because we need to report on reading. So we have another window in October, in February, and in May. This is when we assess the kids. So STAR is basically our formal assessment. What I love about it, however, that there's a lot of accommodation that you can follow in terms of STAR, especially in terms of adjusting towards a student mood on a day, or basically accommodating for the SEND students pausing the test and reconvening the second day, because especially some inclusion students, because we're very inclusive, some inclusion students cannot sit through 34 questions in one day. We love the extended test limits as well, extending the time for some students. So all of these accommodations have really helped our inclusive, cohort. And so we use a STAR, and then from STAR we put lots of reports. So like Susanna said, we do have the summary report where we get our ZPD reading ages and RSSS, and it informs our reading instructions, and it informs also as well as our interventions. We have the standard mastery report. So as an IB school, we still adopt the English national curriculum. And the standard mastery report tells us where the kids are against basically the learning objective, which is really good. But we also pull the focus skills report, which is the instructional report, and that informs the focus skills that students need to work on, and that provides more personalized instructions in our guided reading groups with the teachers. The growth report is really equally important just to see the students grow. And sometimes you see like high growth, low proficiency. So, and then that has to do with the test fidelity sometimes, or if they are reading with like it's quality reading at home using myON or AR. So yeah, actually, basically, like I said before, it's a data-driven, our instruction is data-driven, and then STAR provides that platform. Now, in terms of EAL success story, I think we don't assess any new beginners in EAL because obviously they don't know the language. So anyone who's absolutely beginner, they're going to give us the probable, I think it's called probable reading profile. So there's no, I don't know, I can't remember the exact.
Probable non-reader. Yeah.
Non-reader, there you go. So we started avoiding that. We have a phonics program that we use for these kids. However, whenever they start to be emerging and they can access, we still follow the accommodation part of the testing. We follow the testing guidelines. And then the nice thing about myON is it has the narration basically features, the vocabulary support, they can skim. The fact that it gives you a ZPD, it allows the kids to read within their level, but it's personalized as well. And there's interest, that part of the interest, because you have a big library. So that has been really helpful, especially listening to the story. So the audio, so we disable the audio for the other kids who can read, because we do want them to read. Otherwise, they become lazy and not reading.
Absolutely.
However, for our ELL students, we keep that audio feature because we do want them to just get exposed to the language. They can skim, scan. And the fact as well, I established some reading challenges related to word counts. And that has really encouraged students to read because they want to be like a 100K club winner or a millionaire from grade 3 to 5. We announce their names in assemblies. We give certificates. That's every half term. So that has encouraged the students just to want to read because we want to celebrate that reading culture.
Students absolutely do love to be celebrated for their reading success.
Absolutely.
I know NGRT is mandated for quite a lot of schools in your region. Is that the case for you? And does it clash? Are you looking at the data from both assessments?
We use it for both assessment. We find NGRT is really good in terms, it's like CAT4. You know, CAT4 gives you an idea of how is a learner, the profile of a learner. I feel NGRT gives you how is the student, gives you the profile of a student as a reader. So you've got as a learner and as a reader. So NGRT is really good as well. We use it as well in May. And what we've noticed is sometimes the extra gift of time you get in NGRT has been really helpful as well. Whereas like, the time in the test, if the start could be a bit, it can cause some students to just be a bit nervous about the time, seeing all this.
Because it's longer and it's timed. Yes.
Whereas NGRT could be like, they don't see that time ticking, so they feel more relaxed as well. Yeah, so we use both as well.
Okay, perfect. Susanna, is that the case with you? Are you using NGRT alongside STAR?
Yes, it is. So we use NGRT as our kind of final end of year assessment, but we make sure that we cross-check with STAR data as well. And we find STAR data because we do it more frequently. That's more sort of current, up to date, that we can share more widely, more frequently, whereas NGRT is sort of end of year summative.
Perfect. And that's I used both when I was in school, and that's exactly the way that we used it. It was that kind of final one, but the STAR was that consistent check-in to make sure that students weren't coasting. So on a daily basis, do you set aside time for reading each day? And what kind of routines you use in your classrooms to help your students grow as readers. So just as an example, I worked in an all-through academy. So my primary students, they had their reading time straight after lunch. And we found that was a really positive impact on the afternoon learning because it calmed them down. For my secondary side, and maybe more applicable to you, Susanna, is it was more done on if it was week 1 of the term, it was lesson 1 that was impacted. So it wasn't an English issue that reading was, it impacted every area of the curriculum. Have you got the routine set up, and how are you monitoring that?
Is this for me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we worked really hard to make sure that reading is embedded as part of the curriculum. So we do have weekly form time reading for form tutors. I mean, it is an expectation that students have their reading book with them every day. But within English, we have an expectation, just a standing expectation every single day of the week, 365 days of the year. If you're signing up to join HIS, you are also making an agreement to commit to 20 minutes of reading a day, a minimum. And this is something that we help use Renaissance to help us embed and keep the students accountable for. So do you just mind just sharing the slide that I sent you before, if that's okay? So weekly, all of our year groups from year 7 to year 10 have a weekly reading lesson. So this is something that is, as I said, embedded as part of the curriculum, and it's usually towards the end of the week, but it really is whenever works for the teacher. And this is just one entire period where the students bring a book from home or from the library or from one of our class libraries, and they read for pleasure. The teacher will put some nice relaxing music on, and then the teacher meets individually with each student, asks them about what they've been reading, and sets them a target for the same time the following week. We track this using our reading log, which I've put a couple of examples of here. So on the left and the right, you can see we've got 2 students here. They log their results here at the top of their star readers. We don't find it valuable in all cases to share reading ages. Sometimes we can find that a little bit demotivating for students, particularly if they have a low reading age. So we choose to share the SS and the ZPD, and then we will track the progress made, but not specifically share the reading age unless the student really wants to know it. It's not a secret, but it's not something we just widely share with all students. Then you can see as you move down, from August, this is kind of the weekly check-ins that I've been doing with these students. So you can see on the first one, in 1 week, I said to her, what's realistic? How much can we read in a week? She said 150 pages. And then the following week I check in, she'd read 155. So that's great. I signed that off. And then we set another target. And this is just an ongoing dialogue that we have. And I can kind of check against the quizzes that they've done. Are you reading this too fast? Are you actually understanding? If you've got a low percentage, maybe we need to slow it down a little bit so you can understand exactly what you're reading. And then you can see at the bottom, this is something we've introduced this year. We've got bronze, silver, and gold readers, which are just kind of achievement successes. When they finish 5 books, they get a little badge that they can wear on their lanyard, all the way up to 20 books. And then at the end of the year, we're going to get our top 3 readers, and we're going to either give them an Amazon voucher or maybe a Kindle, budget dependent. But this is basically how we track our reading. And this is just super visual. They know that as soon as they read anything, they can put it in. And it also means if they're going away for winter break, I can say, right, okay, if we're working at about 70 pages a week, then we need to times that by 4 because you're away for 4 weeks. So that helps us keep them accountable over time as well. And then just looking at the middle child here, this is a type of intervention that we do. So between September and December, if anyone has regressed, so you can see the student here, their reading age regressed by 2 months, we just put them on a green slip intervention. And this is like a flap, so you can still see their reading log. And we set them targets specific to their summary diagnostics on their report. So you can see that this student had taken 5 quizzes, but only passed 3. By the time we got to spring break, I wanted them to have taken 13 and passed 11. because the books that they read are quite short. And then you can see we set specific targets regarding book level and then the engaged time per day, which is something that Renaissance generates for us automatically. This is also shared with parents. So I will let them know that, okay, your child has been set these targets. Please, can we have this support from home? And then we'll just check in and if they've not made progress again by March, we'll do this process again with a little bit more intensive targets. But that's kind of how it looks on a day-to-day, lesson to lesson within English for us. But yeah, it's just kind of, it can sometimes look a bit messy, but I think sometimes with a reading log, the messier the better, because it shows that dialogue between student and teacher.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Some really good insights there. Susanna, is that a similar case in your school?
You mean Shireen? Me?
Oh, Shireen,
No,
sorry.
it's okay. Yeah, it's kind of similar. So basically, we have a reading timetable twice a week in our school. And we do kind of have a system where we follow the Viper skills, which is comprehension skills, but we follow kind of a carousel. So while we focus on the Viper skills, the teachers meet with the kids for guided reading and they focus with personalized instructional reading for the kids. One of the stations is reading on myON. So the students are supposed to go on myON and then they have to read for a sustained at least 20 minutes of a time reading within their ZPDs. Sometimes because we use, like I said, the focus skill and the standard mastery report, so we can assign bundles based on that. So the STAR assessment, sorry, not the STAR assessment, the library on myON will enable you to assign bundles based on the focus skills that students need to focus on. So it's kind of targeted reading for these students. So there is an expectation of at least twice reading within their targets on myON, twice a week. We don't have a homework policy. However, we say reading is an expectation, and we do ask students to read at least for 15 minutes if they are in very lower primary. Then in upper primary is sustained 25 to 30 minutes to grade 5. And we do monitor that through the reading challenges that we've established. So every half term, we announce the reading challenge winners in assemblies. And that has helped a lot. I'm happy to share. I'm sorry, Katrina, I didn't share it with you. I'm happy to share a quick example if you want.
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you've got an example, absolutely, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, if you come to our school, you'll find there's a lot of celebration of reading across the school. So our bulletin boards are full of these reading challenge winners photos or like ladder to success, but I cannot share them for safeguarding reasons because they have student photos. However, I can share with you right now, and let me know if you can see my screen. Yeah, let me see. Can everyone see it? Can you see it? So we do have.
Yes, we can see it there.
Perfect. So we do have basically, this is the 100K club, which is for grades 1, 2, and 3. And the word count report is generated by stars, so we don't have to worry about it. So it's accurate. It's based on students' comprehension. And you see here, kids, even at 10,000 words, they start getting certificates. So we do acknowledge that. And then if they join the club, basically they get an extra reward. Sometimes student council come up with some rewards for these kids. We even moved to 200,000 words and 250 plus for like Diamond AR certificate. Then those kids who achieve it, like say someone in grade 3 achieves that, they can move to the Millionaires Club. Let me just move to that's the Millionaires Club. And we start at 250,000 words for grade 3 to 5. And they really look forward to that. Sometimes they argue with me because sometimes we generate the report on, say, a Friday to have it ready for Monday's assembly. And on Monday, they will argue with me that I didn't read 500,000 words. I read more. And I say, I'm sorry, but we generated the certificates earlier just to have them ready for the assembly. So they do look forward to these. Parents love these. It has motivated the kids a lot to read and read. And that's what we want. We want our students to be lifelong learners. That's the main thing. That's the main skill here, is that we want them to just love reading and feel like we're celebrating their achievement. So these are some of the things we've done, and I feel that has made a big difference in addition to data-driven instruction, quality instruction.
Perfect. And it is lovely that you're shouting out those
Yeah.
less able readers that even at 10,000 words, they're going to get a certificate. So I know lots of schools, they do celebrate word counts, but it usually starts around the million mark. Not every student can read a million words, but every student can definitely read 10,000.
1,000
Susanna
words.
told us about the success of one of her ELL learners, to the Russian girl. Have you got any successes that you could share with
I
us?
don't have a specific successes in terms of like reading age like Susanna shared. However, what we noticed, and I think Katrina, you were showing me last time that was new to me, and I wish I learned it before. We can go to the myON reports and we can pull also the students' activity on myON report and the reading behavior. And we've spotted a couple of ELL learners as well as inclusion students who were leading the board in terms of that. So that was really interesting. I don't know if Katrina, want to show that and how we can pull it. I don't know if you have it ready,
I
but
haven't
that
got it ready, but
ready.
yeah, so
But
that
that
was
was
yeah, that was
really
something completely new to you because it was one little girl that was in your inclusion department, wasn't it? That
department.
it didn't matter what metric we measured her against, she came out as a top
It was
reader
the
for
reading
engaged time.
board.
Yeah, and that's what I think is useful to look at those reports alongside. So you can
Mhm.
generate reports on myON as well as generating reports on Accelerated Reader, and it does allow you to celebrate different readers.
Different readers. This is what we spot in our reading assemblies when we celebrate and we pass those certificates. It's a variety of students from different reading levels, different learning levels, inclusion, English language learners. It's just they're all coming to one goal, which is love of reading. And that is really amazing. So lots of success stories to celebrate.
Perfect. And you've both already hinted about your celebrations of your top readers. Do you
Yeah.
have kind of any end of year celebrations? So I used to have one of the ones I did was I had a pizza and chocolate fountain party. I took them to Harry Potter studios. I
But
did lots of different things. Do you have any kind of parties, things like
yeah,
that?
not parties because we try our best for safeguarding reasons. We cannot share food or have food
Oh,
parties
of
for
course.
kids. However, what we did is that we have book weeks, an upcoming book week, but also last year, for example, during book week, we had the author's visit. So they had a meet and greet, a special meet and greet with the author. This is in addition to everyone meeting the author. We had the poetry slam competition hosted in our school, and the students were VIP. Those winners were VIP audience, and they were attending the poetry slam competition where the rest of the students could not attend. So they get those glimpse of VIP treatment. Sometimes some of them suggested skipping the queue in the lunch just to get lunch, and we said by all means. So we are getting all of these sorts of just like some VIP treatment for them being reading challenge winners. So we've got those pockets, but probably that's nice to host like a pizza party. It doesn't harm. So I'll think about that for the end
Okay.
of the year. They would love a pizza party. I
Yeah,
just
they
don't want
absolutely would.
anyone to link reading to pizza. Just want them to read for reading, not read for a pizza. But that's a nice idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Susanna, what's the celebrations look like in your school?
So we do celebrations in the end of year assemblies as well. And I think something that is maybe a little bit more low profile, but definitely something that's really valuable is just constant communication and celebration with parents about individual reading successes. That's something that we find is really, really motivating for students. If you say, well done, you've consistently met your reading target, or I've seen huge improvement, or you're choosing more challenging books, just acknowledging that with parents is, something a little bit small scale, but is potentially just as impactful for the students. I've sent emails and then students have come in the next day and said, oh, that got me a new pair of AirPods. Thank you so much. So yeah, I think on the big scale, it's obviously important, but smaller scale, just those one-on-one positive interactions with parents and letting them know how well their student is doing and allow them to be celebrated from home with their parents as well.
Perfect, and that brings me nicely to my next question, which was, how do you share what do you share with families to keep them engaged with their child's literacy journey?
So as I say, we do celebrations. If there's any regression as well, we do keep parents informed, not in a sort of your child's in trouble because their reading age has regressed, but just more of a be aware. Maybe your child isn't doing the 20 minutes reading. Can you just keep a close eye on it. And make sure what they're reading is appropriate for their level as well. But something that we started last year that has also been hugely impactful and popular was we started doing coffee mornings with parents, all about reading. And this was an opportunity, particularly for Key Stage 3 parents, to come in and just get the lowdown on Renaissance. This is what a reading age means. This is how we measure it. This is what the SS score means. This is how it changes. This is how they can improve the reading. We'll contact you if this or this happens. Just kind of a whistle-stop tour of everything to do with reading and Renaissance and NGRT, just so that the parents are equipped with the same sort of language that we're using and the same sort of knowledge and understanding. Has been a really powerful tool just in getting their support and generally improving attitudes to reading. Because once the parents understand why we're doing what we're doing and we're not just doing it to be annoying or to nag their children, that has just meant the progress that we've been able to see is much greater just because they're equipped with that same level of understanding.
Perfect. And Shireen, do you have a similar, do you have coffee mornings?
Similarly, we do have coffee mornings. We also share the challenges with the parents at the beginning of the year, explaining how can their child achieve those reading challenges. We also, our bulletin boards at the beginning of the year are filled with QR codes where the kids are talking about these. We share them in assemblies as well. So many times, because we host assemblies, grade level assemblies, but we host assemblies for parents to come and watch their child perform. And we announce those as well. So parents are familiar that, parents are competitive. They all want their child to be nominated. So that has helped a lot, exposing the parents to, or informing the parents about these challenges. We shared, because we have 3 reporting times during the year, end of term 1, end of term 2, and end of term 3. And this is when we share the report cards. And alongside, we send the family report, the STAR family report with a curve that shows the students' growth, the reading age, what do they need to work on, with like kind of a blurb about what the STAR family report is all about. So the fact that the parents know we're reporting on that and it's coming part of the family, like of the report card, is empowered, encourages the parents to follow through reading with their child as at home. And similarly, like I said, we don't have a homework policy where we send worksheets, but we do say reading is an expectation. And we do encourage that throughout our conversations with parents, even in parent-teacher conferences. We pull those STAR, say, for example, assessment, like reading age or whatever, or NRSS, and we share it with the parents as well in our parent-teacher conferences. So not only end of term, but also through our conversations with the parents about their child's growth. Yeah.
Perfect. So it's been really lovely to hear about your journeys. One final question is, how do you keep the momentum of reading going over extended holidays? Because otherwise we know that students might go away for 6 weeks extended holiday, not open a book, and when they come back to us, their reading levels have dipped. Do you put in any competitions or anything to keep that momentum going?
Do you want me to go first? I think the fact that we announced the reading challenges for every term, and we share it in our weekly updates. Parents know already that when we come back, let's say, like now we're soon ending this term and we're going into term 3. So I will be announcing the term 3 dates and I will share it with the parents, and we also share it with the students. So they already know when they come, probably after the first 2-3 weeks, there will be the first round of announcements. So everybody would want to work towards achieving. So, and especially because if you notice how I did the reading challenges, they kind of progress. They start from 10,000, they even go beyond the 100,000 club. So there's always room for growth. So they feel like, oh, I want to get the diamond certificate. I want to become a millionaire. I want my photo to be on that board. So all of this is keeping the momentum of, they're just encouraged. It's just become so nice for them and they want to just be celebrated. So that, for me, that has really shaped our culture. In addition, like I said, reading is an expectation, part of our no homework policy. Yeah.
Perfect. And Susanna, a similar journey for you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we use the reading logs, which is really helpful in a practical sense. But I also think the students are so used to using Renaissance now and knowing and understanding how and why their reading age is measured, that they actually understand if they don't read for 6 weeks, their reading age is going to drop, which I think is also really powerful, because they're not just it's not that they're taking ownership for their own reading age and their own reading habits there. If they've all seen and they know that if they do not continue to engage with their reading, there will be a dip, or there will be regress progress, or there will be limited progress if they want to keep the momentum going. And they do get quite competitive about their scores and their ages, just as the nature of school is. But having that hard data to say, well, remember last summer when you didn't read anything, your reading age dropped by 3 months, that just equips us with data to back up what we're saying about reading is true, that you need, it's not a skill that you can just do once and then stop. It's something that you need to keep doing over time in order to improve your reading age. And I think they've just bought into that because we've got the data. They know it's not just their English teachers making it up and talking about it. We've got hard evidence that that is the case. So yeah, it allows us to have the evidence, and as such, they understand that the only thing they can do to improve their reading age is to read.
Perfect. So thank you both for your insight. It has been really, really useful and resonates a lot with the very similar things I done when I was in school. So just to finish off, I'm going to share with you the kind of products that we have been talking about this morning. So we have been talking about Star Reading, myON, and Accelerated Reader. Here at Renaissance, we have the Learning Loop, which is that continuous assess students, adapt the teaching of the students, and accelerate that learning. Star Reading, or it could also be NGRT in this instance, is that assessment. What is your child's starting point? myON, the teachable tools on there will help you adapt the teaching, and the focus skills from your assessment will also give you a heads up of what to teach next. And then to cement that all together, you will use that accelerated reader to test that underlying comprehension. As we say, we know students can read words in isolation, but they're not necessarily putting them together to make any kind of comprehension. So having that little bit of a quiz at the end of every book just to see how well they've understood. So you can see hopefully on the screen there is a poll. We'd absolutely love if you could respond to the poll. I'm just going to keep chatting, but please do use that poll. The great thing about our products is they sit on one platform with one login, and it's that one continuous learning loop. These are all standalone products. We always recommend better together, but they are absolutely standalone products. So Star Reading is that assessment that pinpoints your students' reading levels, gives you a reading range. You might have heard Susanna and Shireen refer to it as a ZPD, or the zone of proximal development. It is a reading range that's going to provide accessibility and challenge for your students. Your students can choose to read digital books on myON, where all the books are leveled, and it will give them a digital bookshelf with books within their reading range. So all of those books with accessibility and challenge, or if, like Susanna, a lot of her students are also reading physical books. They can be leveled as well. So the students are picking books. And the great thing with it is it provides that success for your students, because the books are providing accessibility and challenge. Every single child can be successful. And as I said, that accelerated reader really underpins the students' understanding of what they've read. We know if we've been heard students read aloud, quite often they can read lots of words in isolation, but it's that putting them together to make that comprehension that really underpins that reading journey. Just to celebrate some success in your reading in your region, from September, there are 19,707 active students taking at least one quiz, 158,000 quizzes, eight quizzes per student. This is all fantastic news. Looking at the top 5 books, no surprise, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Diary of a Wimpy Kid will always be popular. I think in our What Kids Are Reading report for the past 10 years or so, it has come out as a solid top reading book. So students all over the world are choosing Diary of a Wimpy Kid. A little bit of escapism. But one of the things that I really wanted to highlight is there's a real strong interest in non-fiction articles in your region. So 543 quizzes were from non-fiction articles. These are a great way to get students a little bit of quick engagement, great way to engage boys. If you haven't discovered articles yet, students will see them if their ZPD includes or is higher than 3.6. Teachers also can access them. They're typically 200 to 300 words long, so nice and concise. There will be 3 questions to test their comprehension. If they get 2 out of 3 correct, it's 1 point towards their target. I think it's quite a lot of points for not a lot of reading, and it's because they are non-fiction, so it tends to be more difficult vocabulary within those. So if that's not something that your students have engaged with yet, absolutely do introduce them to articles. So thank you all for joining me. I'm going